Are you struggling trying to find your unique purpose in life? If so, you'll want to stay tuned for our discussion today, where I talk about two simple techniques that you can use to help you get clarity. They are obituary, writing your own obituary, and end of life, looking at your life from the end backwards. Let's jump into that discussion right now. There obviously are many techniques that you can use to be able to arrive at your unique purpose in life. I've discussed before in other videos that I think that there are two purposes that each one of us have. There is a global purpose and there is a unique, specific purpose. From the standpoint of a global purpose, I think that all of us, if we're really honest with ourselves, want to leave the world a better place than we found it. We'd like to, on our deathbed, look back and say, I've made my own unique dent in the universe, and that the world is just a little bit better because I've existed. I think that would make all of us happy. But then within that framework of the global purpose is a unique, specific purpose that is a combination of how we employ our passions and our skills to add value to the world that we live in. So how do we go about arriving at that unique purpose? Well, as I said, there's many ways that you can do it, but the two most effective ways that I've found are writing your own obituary and what I call end-of-life story. So let's dissect those two for just a minute. Grab a clean sheet of paper and sit down and spend some time thinking about your obituary. And by that I mean, after you are dead, if you could somehow come back to life and go to the funeral home during your wake, or to the church where your burial service is going to be held, what are the kinds of things that you would want to see and hear? If you could be a fly on the wall at events like this, what is it that you would like people to be saying about you? If you were able to mingle in the crowd, what would you want people to be talking about relative to you? For your family and friends who get up in the front of the church to eulogize you, what would you want them to say about you? What meaningful things would you like them to say? How would you, as people are talking about the life that you've lived, what would you want their memories of you to be? And if you write your obituary from that perspective and then go back, maybe put it on the shelf for a couple of weeks and then go back and pull it down and read it and grab a highlighter and highlight the things in that obituary that really stand out to you, things that you really want to be remembered for, contributions that you want to make, the way you want to have touched people's lives. You will see the threads of who you are as a person. Similarly, let's take a look at what I would call the end-of-life story. In 2006, I spent some time in the country of Kazakhstan teaching strategic planning at the Kazakh American Free University. And the students came into class the first day, and here they were all excited about writing a strategic plan for a multi-billion-dollar multinational company. And the first homework assignment I gave them was to write their own personal purpose statement. And I sent them away to work on it. And I should have maybe given them a little bit more direction, but it turned out really, really well, because these kids came from very, very humble financial backgrounds, most of them. And so when they began to write their purpose statements were around things like, I want to be wealthy, I want to drive a fancy car, I want to have a big house, I want to travel the world, I want to have a yacht on the Mediterranean, things like that. And so I told them, I said, guys, I think we need to dig just a little bit deeper here, and here's what I want you to do. I want you to imagine yourself when you are 90 years old. And here's what we're going to do. The first thing I want you to do is I want you to get a very, very vivid mental picture of what you are going to look like when you're 90 years old. And if you have any questions about what that might be, think about pictures that you've seen of your great-grandparents. If your grandparents are still alive, look at them. What do they look like? What kind of health are they in? And ask yourself questions about, at 90 years old, am I going to be standing up straight or am I going to be bent over? What color is my hair going to be? Am I going to have skin like I do now, or is my skin going to be wrinkly and sagging? How am I going to walk? Am I going to be able to go out and take a brisk walk, or am I just going to sort of shuffle around? But really take some time and get that vivid mental picture of what you're going to look like at age 90. Then once you've got that picture in place, I want you to get a feeling of how you are going to feel when you're 90 years old. Are you going to be in vibrant health, or are you going to be sick? Is your eyesight going to be very crisp and clear, or are you going to have cataracts and maybe have some blurred vision? What about your hearing? Are you going to be able to hear conversations, or are you going to be constantly doing, what? Get the feeling for what you're going to feel like when you're 90 years old, not just physically, but how are you going to be able to relate to your world with things like your vision and your hearing, your ability to talk to other people? Are you going to begin to be a little bit forgetful? Are you going to have difficulty with mobility? So when you go to someone's house, you spend most of the time sitting in a chair versus being out in the garden and doing things outside. So now we've got a clear picture of what we're going to look like and what we're going to feel like at 90 years old. So here's the scenario I want you to think about. At 90 years old, you're ill. As a matter of fact, you're terminally ill. You have not been out of bed in the last 3 months. And as a matter of fact, your doctor just left your bedside and said you have less than 24 hours to live. With that in mind, you lay back in bed and you start looking back across your life. Here's some questions I want you to ask yourself. What are the things that I've accomplished in life that I'm most proud of? What are some of the things that I've done in life that I'm absolutely ashamed of? What kinds of relationships have I had with my wife or my husband, my children, my grandchildren? What kind of relationships have I had with my friends and associates at work? How have I impacted the lives of other people? Would people say that I'm a positive, upbeat, happy person who's had a really amazingly positive influence on their lives? Or would they say that I have dragged them down, that I've kept them from becoming the people that they wanted to be? And you can come up with other questions along those lines that you can ask yourself. But the answers to those questions expose both the person you are and the person that you could have been, but also it highlights the things that are really important to you in life. An old friend of mine once said, "Do you know what my definition of hell is? Hell is the person you are one day meeting the person you could have become." Why wait to meet that person? Why not be in the process of becoming that person, so that one day when you finally look in the mirror at the end of your life, rather than being sorrowful about all the things that you wanted to do but didn't do, all the things you wanted to accomplish but didn't, the person you wanted to become but didn't, why don't you put yourself in a position where you can look yourself in the mirror and be happy and joyful about what you see? If there's anything that I can do to help you plan your life and create that purpose and get you on the right track, I'm here for you. Feel free to reach out.